Welcome back to the channel, folks. In this episode, we will be in the shop. We got some work to do. We got some hammers prep to prepare for. In the last video, the abandoned cleanup video, volume 1, you guys saw us break the link bracket in the rear, pulling out that truck, the last truck we pulled out. And it broke good. So we are gonna fix that. And currently, we have the cherry picker holding the back of the truck up, and the wheels spin. Oh, kind of. I can kind of move them. So, the idea here is we're gonna hammer this guy back up, hammer this guy back up, and then re-weld it, and then box that whole thing in. Weld all of it in, make some gussets before we close it off, then close it off. Okay, so here's what we got going on. We have shocks out on both sides. We have the helper springs out on both sides. And I was starting to pull the U-joint out to pull the rear axle out, and I thought, I wonder if I can just disconnect the top link bar and see if I can't bend this up now that there's no resistance on it. That's a no. So it sucks because I think I'm gonna have to pull this whole thing back out and rebuild the top of this guy, which isn't a bad option. I'll tell you what, we got her out. So it's a weird feeling. See the wrecker with no axle at all. She's just chilling. Axle's sitting over here looking pretty. Let me show you guys what happened here. So yeah, it broke right there, right? But it actually tore it. So if you look inside of here, you can see where the tear is. Hard to see it, there it is. So interesting. But yeah, so the plan here is to cut this whole top piece off all the way across here and basically remake it. So after we mirror image everything and get this top plate back on and correct how it's supposed to, then we're going to come in and box the entire side. Well, from the bottom, we're going to gusset it to the top of here and to the sides, and then we'll box the whole thing in. So this guy will never break again, or at least not due to a deadweight F-250. It might break for other reasons, but it won't break because of an F-250. I hope. I know I showed you guys this like 16,000 times. This is the good one. This is the one that bent. And you can see it just tore. It just ripped the metal right out. Talk about some good measurements. Look at that sucker. Perfectly lined up. We also went a little bit thicker on the plate here. This is what it was right here. That's what it is now. So this is 3/16, this is quarter. So these are 3/16. This whole section is all 3/16. This top plate is gonna be quarter. So it should be quite a bit stronger. The nice thing with the link brackets here is that I welded these nuts on the ends, and to make them triangulate, they just need to be centered, and then the ends touch down here. So these guys touch, and then the nuts touch. So that's all it is, and that is the perfect angle. So obviously they need to be centered as well. So getting that angle won't be too hard to basically, because it's not going to be in the truck this time. So we'll just weld them on and then slap it back in, and then we'll have to readjust the link bars, probably re-true the axle. But yeah, let's get to welding. Alright, so I've also added, this is 1x2 going from the diff up to the bottom, and then I added a piece of 1x1 or 1.5 by 1.5 going up onto that one because that one's a little bit smaller. It's not quite as wide. The problem is I've developed a new issue, and that issue is I don't have enough material to box the back of this in at all. So I'm thinking that I might just leave it as it is. All right, so I have a solution to the problem, okay? Hear me out. These coilovers are going to go on the front of the truck. Not right now, but in time, when the front gets four-linked, these 16x3s are gonna go on the front. On the back is gonna get straight airbags, and then it'll get 16-inch shock shaft, just shocks, no coilovers. So anyways, the moral of that whole story is when I do that, the front's gonna get four-linked, obviously. I gotta cut the lower links off on the rear four-link because the way it's designed is going to impede on what I already have there, will impede on the design, so it's gonna get removed. So basically both axles are gonna get taken out of the truck, and while those axles are out and getting fully gusseted, I will then come in here and handle that problem. And quite frankly, I don't think I'm gonna be pulling out another heavy truck with no wheels for a little while. So I could be wrong, anything can happen at Hammers, but realistically I think that anyone that I handle at Hammers will probably have at least 3 wheels to work with. So we've got the rear axle back in the truck. It is all buttoned up. Link bars are all together. The U-joints are all together. This bottom bolt right here became a righty-loosey, so we're just gonna leave that alone. Got our little gussets in there. Oh, I'm super glad I did not box the inside, because my splitter that I broke in the Akati Wells video bolts from the inside of the arch. So if I boxed it, then I couldn't get the bolts on. That would have sucked. So note to self, I need to either tack that nut on or something when I go to box it, but I'm sure I'll forget, and I'm sure you guys will laugh at me when I do forget. But Truck is back together. We got some more things to get done on it, and not quite done with her yet, but the rear axle is back in. Welcome back, folks. It is another beautiful day. So last night I lied to you guys. I told you guys I wasn't gonna add any more to the diff, like no more, like not gonna box it in, and I couldn't sleep last night. So I figured out what I'm gonna do, so I have enough material to do it. Still don't have enough to box it in, still not doing that. But here's what we are gonna do. Just a little bit of help. Don't know if it'll make a difference or not, but it's gonna be a mental difference, so check this out. I've got 2 cardboard cutouts already set up here, but we're gonna do one right there. Simple but effective, weld it all in. And then of course on the other side, that guy right there. Not sure how much of a difference those are really gonna make, but mentally, I'll feel better. And then when we take the axle out and we swap the coils and airbag the rear, like I had mentioned in yesterday, I'll then just either cut those little sections out, or I'll just box over all of it. So out in Ocotillo for the New Year's video, we ended up killing the alternator, or it killed itself. I'm not sure what exactly happened to it, but it no longer is charging, so it is not working. Anyways, we got a new one. Let me show you what it looks like. So this is the new guy right here, looking all fancy. This is the mounting point. This is the keeper pulley point. This is important. Keep this in mind. Look at that little 14 mil bolt. So the reason why that's important is you come over here to the truck and we have the alternator right here. Now we have the keeper, the mounting bolt right there, and then we have the keeper bolt or the pulley bolt right here. But notice this guy is super loose, like almost too much loose, to the point where I can actually spin this guy on the belt. Like, not good. This guy also goes to the water pump, which is right here, which is also loose. Moral of the whole story is that that little Allen key keeper bolt on the old one is not keeping itself there. Fortunately, I was running a separate alternator, so it didn't matter, but that still goes to my water pump. So like, it still needs to be tight. So garbage, 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 garbage. Check your alternator bolts if you have an old truck that you beat the crap out of. So the new alternator is in. We have the charging wire right here going to the back of it. That comes around and goes to the battery. This alternator is back to the way it was. Nothing crazy about that. Got the nuts on back here just chilling. So we are all back to how we were. We developed a new issue. These fins are hitting the bracket, so just by a smidge. So we're gonna take it and shave this bracket a little bit. There she is. So we just shaved off the entire bottom. It was hitting more towards this area, like right here, but we just got all of it just because we can. Look at these scratches. Let the camera focus for a second. Right there, right through 232, through YouTube, through the Instagram, even down here, and then through horn and recovery. Golly, I got canceled by nature. Scratched me up. Got a couple big ones up here. Big old boy right there. All of those scratches were from the tree that I rubbed against when it was like a bush tree, when we were recovering the Chevy, the first vehicle in the last video. Right after I cut that little fire line, little 4-foot wide trail. Go watch it, it'll make sense. But anyway, when we backed into that, we had to squeeze through some spots, and there was one bush / tree thing with some super thick branches, and it took a liking out of the wrecker. So, but it's a show truck. It is not a show truck. It is in fact a work truck, and she looks better with scratches. I will take it to SEMA with those scratches on it. I will not touch it up. I will not paint it. I will not sugarcoat the truck. It is a work truck. That is what it's for. But speaking of going to SEMA, they haven't contacted me at all yet. But if I do go to SEMA, I will not have Bluetooth drive shafts. With all that smack talking being said, I did clean her up though. Look at the coils. Looking super spiffy. The rear end's gonna get painted here in a minute, but there is no dirt anywhere. Boxes are clean. The winches are clean. The bench is clean. The back of the Drekker is clean. Even the inside. floor is clean. You can probably not really see it that well. The seats are spiffy. I have a small issue that I think is 100% my fault, and I take full blame for it since I'm the only one that's worked on this truck, really. But we obviously took the axle out. You guys saw we redid the link bars and whatnot, put it back in. I actually censored it this time, like 100%. It's square to the truck. It's perfect right now, which leads me to the next problem. It wasn't perfect before, and I did things before that are not lining up anymore, which I need to fix. Let me show you. So what those things consist of are these guys right here. These extra pucks for the helper springs, okay? There's one there and there's one here. And as you can see, there's no weight on them right now. They're just sitting here, right? But the issue is, which I'll show you on the side, it's a little bit better. They're not lining up anymore. So the spring is actually sitting outside of the puck. Like she's just chilling there. It's not really lining up with the puck anymore. Now, with that being said, if you look at the distance from the frame to the edge of the puck on this side, and then you look at the frame and the edge of puck on this side, there is obviously a huge, like this is 2 finger. This side is almost 4 fingers. We'll say 3 for sake of it, 3 1/4. So because of that, the helper springs, they're no longer sitting up in the pocket like they're supposed to. They're kind of sitting off to the side. And I mean, they work still, but it doesn't look good. So I'm gonna readjust those right now. And by that, I mean I gotta cut the puck off and then remount the puck a little bit over. So not gonna be fun, but it's what we're gonna do. We're doing it right. We're not doing it the easy way. So for those that are wondering, no, this is not a sufficient welding jacket, but this is definitely better than bare skin. So it does count. I refuse to wear real clothing in my own shop, so, and this happens to be laying back here. So this is the welding jacket of choice. So we're gonna be building some axle strap chains, which I know is kind of a strange concept, but bear with me. So for the folks that are curious about building chains or want to know, stay tuned. For those folks who don't care, you guys have a great night. The wrecker is back up together and going. We've got the alternator back in, which is great. We've got the axle fixed, which is super important, and we've got those pucks moved, which was great. So the wrecker's good to go for now. I will be at Hammers from the 30th through the 8th. So January 30th through February 8th. So if you guys are going and you want to hang out or meet up or see the truck, call me, text me, or just flag me down while I'm out there. I'll see you. Yell at me, throw something at me. Don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, if you know me, cool. If not, don't throw something at me. But anyways, you guys have a great, great night. If you're gonna stay here for the chains, then let's get back into it. So in building chains, there's only a couple things you gotta know, okay? First and foremost, this is a chain. Secondly, this is a chain link accessory, and this is an accessory, okay? So when you're cutting a chain link accessory, you need to know where to cut it, okay? You need to cut the weld out. So every chain link is gonna have a weld in it, whether it's big or small. These all have welds in them. They're all gonna have welds, okay? So you don't wanna cut out here. If you cut out here, then you have 2 welds on here because you've cut this out, then you'll re-weld it. You have 2 stress points. You don't want that. So for example, this one has been cut and there's no weld in it because the weld is in my hand. So I'll re-weld that back in. But basically, you just don't want to have 2 weak points. Might as well just have one. It's already there from factory. Reuse it. Don't make 2 of them. Second thing, use a vise. It's so nice. So you can take your accessory out, right? And you can take off your chain. So whatever chain you want. You have your accessory clamped in. No big deal. You take your chain link. You put it here. It goes down. You just hang it down there. And then you take your accessory, which in my case is a teardrop hook. But you could use a mini J or a big, a big size J or whatever, and you put it in here. Boom. Now, in this case, I'm ready to close that. the easiest way to get this guy started, because what you're gonna have here is you're gonna have like quite a large gap on one side if you're touching, but you wanna kind of center it so you can like fill in the gap equally, but it's gonna be hard to get that to fuse. You'll just end up melting this away. So what you do here is you just make a little tack on the edge of it, like just make a little like booby, if you will, and then this guy goes in here and you're able to tack that on there, but you can kind of split the difference between the two sides. You see that? And then it'll fuse together really well for my welders out there. It'll make it fuse really well. The only thing I will say about welding chains is you must use a TIG. You cannot use a MIG welder. If you use a MIG welder, you will die. And the reason why you will die is because you'll think you have a good weld and it'll look good, but then when you go and put weight on it, it'll snap. And when it snaps, that thing's coming off at 100 million miles an hour straight through your body. So no MIG welding. Only TIG. If you can't TIG, you can't build chains. Sorry, get used to it. But if you are TIG welding them, when you do fill this gap in here, the important reason to use a TIG is when you're filling this gap in, you want to use more heat than filler rod, and you want to really melt the edge of both of those into each other, so it actually melts into the center, and then you fill it up with the filler rod, as opposed to just slap. Like if you use a MIG, you're just slapping weld on top. You can't get the heat in to really dissolve the metal into itself and then have it build back up. So if you use a MIG, you're just gonna weld the top of it. You're not welding the inside. If you use a TIG, you can really burn it in deep and use the inside, or melt the inside, which is what you need for these to be strong. I've welded this chain right here, which is a 20-foot 3/8 with 2 teardrops on it. And I've used that chain the heaviest thing I've done with that one was I used an 18,000 pound flatbed to pull out another 18,000 pound flatbed as a choker setup out of sand. So he was stuck in sand, and this is at my old company, and anyway, I know it will hold, okay, if you do it correctly. Now, the reason for my little, these guys that I made, the chained axle straps, is simply because this guy got pretty tore up. Now, the reason why this guy got tore up is because in the last video that you guys did watch, right? We were pulling out junk cars, and junk cars have a lot of exposed metal, and it's hard to prevent the soft straps from getting cut. When you have bullet holes through metal, it like flares out on the back and then it gets real sharp. So the axle strap chains are simply so I can throw them around metal and it won't cut them. So I can use these as a choker setup. So this guy can go around itself. Let's see if I can open it one-handed with a boot maybe. Oh, it's still hot. Ow, hot, 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 hot. Open. Ugh, there we go. Sorry, that took a second. You can use it as a choker setup. So for example, we can go here and choke it. And then we have something inside of here, let's say a bumper, and then it pulls it tight and it chokes it. Or I can use them as traditional, or I can use them as traditional axle straps where they're just 2 hooks and going around. But it's basically just to prevent me from destroying all my soft shackle stuff and all my soft equipment, because when you're working with abandoned cars that you don't care about, you don't really care about them. You don't care about scratching stuff or breaking things. So that's the point of these guys. But yeah, for welding chains, TIG only, no MIG, period. Have a good night, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go weld some chains. Don't learn on chains. If you're gonna learn TIG welding, do not learn on chains. Learn on scrap crap. Don't start with chains, okay? Have a good night.